As a Palestinian artist, either I'm defined by genre or I'm defined by where I'm from.
Palestinian rock artist Rasha Nahas is a songwriter, storyteller, and performer. She describes herself as a genre-defying, narrative-focused musician. But what does that mean?
I heal through what I do, and I bring in my narrative, which is not often heard.
Born in Haifa, Rasha managed to carve a space for herself in the city's vibrant underground music scene. In her early 20s, she moved to Berlin, where she released her debut album, Desert, a 9-track LP recorded in English, describing her journey from Haifa to a life in Germany.
You gain confidence, but you lose a certain vulnerability or innocence.
Since then, Rasha has performed in numerous venues and festivals, including Glastonbury Festival. She's also released her second album in Murat, which she recorded fully in Arabic, before embarking on a music tour across Europe in early 2023. In this episode of Real Talk, we chat music, how she shifts between English and Arabic in her records, and how her Palestinian identity influences her art. All right, Rasha.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. One thing I really want to know, what's it like for you being in a record store? You know, especially that everything is on streaming now.
Yeah.
What's it like being with physical records?
It's really distracting at the moment.
Distracting.
Yeah. And tempting.
Yeah.
I feel it's just, yeah, we live in an era where everything's on streaming, where like impact and meaning is measured like by algorithms and numbers.
Sure.
And I think it's just great to be around like physical
records?
Records of artists that I love, yeah.
Let's take a look at some records that maybe have had influences on you. So we have
John Lennon.
John Lennon.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about John Lennon?
Wow, so much. Well, I was born in Haifa.
Haifa, yeah.
But both of my parents are from Tarshiha.
Okay.
It's a village in the Galilee. It's 1 hour north from Haifa.
Yeah.
And every weekend we used to drive with the car to Tarshiha from Haifa. And my dad is like a massive John Lennon fan. So he has like 2 CDs of best of John Lennon. And this was like the soundtrack of
How old were you, like of your John Lennon memory? How old were you at that point?
Since I remember myself.
Okay.
Like, I don't know, like I think 5, 6 until like I'm 17, I don't know.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And you guys would take trips, play John Lennon in the car?
Yeah, we would go to Tarshiha every weekend. And I remember like, because you know, it's like a very kind of, it's the Galilee, you know, it's like the most beautiful kind of nature landscape ever, you know, so like a lot of green around and like really small curvy roads and you know, sunshine.
Yeah, you're smiling just thinking about
yeah,
it.
exactly, you know, it's like it's like my childhood. It's like, you know, this music is really like, I know it so well, and it's like such a big part of me as an artist.
Right.
It's insane.
We still got a lot to unpack, but maybe instead of standing, maybe we can go and kind of just have a seat, chat more.
Amazing.
How about that? Is that cool?
Yeah.
Can we do it? Here, I'll lead the way.
Let's do that. Just gonna get my tea.
Yeah.
Kind of a small talk, but deep.
Yeah, well, this is exactly what I'm trying to do. Let's go. Here we are. About to go sit on the couch.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Cool.
Have a seat.
Amazing.
Okay. The first question that I want to ask you here is that, you know, reading a lot of your interviews, Rasha, you say that you're someone that's narrative driven. But I want to go back a little bit. What do you mean by that? What is your narrative that you're trying to push?
Okay, so it's a big question because I feel that as a Palestinian artist, either I'm defined by genre or I'm defined by where I'm from and the music industry. And
Tell me more about that.
Exactly, and I feel that like there's always like othering.
Othering?
Yeah,
Okay.
of my art, you know? And for me, like, what I'm trying to do with Murat is that, no, I'm singing in Arabic, I'm singing in my mother tongue, I'm reclaiming my space in my mother tongue, but I'm also reclaiming our space in the European music scene.
Our space as Palestinians, as Arabs?
As diaspora Arabs.
Okay.
We have two realities. We have like...
One that's related to the Middle East and one that's westernized a bit? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, but I feel like we hold within us two realities in every moment. I feel like I have my reality in here now, today, yesterday, on tour in Berlin, and there is my reality of back home, which, you know, I see on the screen, what's happening, the events, and there's like these two realities that are like existing at the same time. And I think that the narrative is in between. My narrative is in between. The world that I'm creating in my art is this in between. You know, because I'm never fully here and I'm never fully there. And I exist in between these two spaces.
I think one might ask you, Rasha, okay, well, if it holds such a special place in your heart, why did you move? Why did you go to Berlin? Why did you decide to go?
It's funny, you know, when I read my old journals and stuff, I don't remember this, but I always kind of had a feeling of not belonging completely.
Not belonging?
Yeah, like I belong in so many ways, in so many like really real ways, you know, but there was something in me that was seeking something different.
But when you say not belonging, is this related to your identity as a Palestinian?
Yeah, I mean, growing up in Haifa as a Palestinian, you're like, it's a context, you know. It's like there's no really place for that, to claim it, to be vocal about it, to just be, you know, not even act upon it, to just be it. And it's hard. It's not obvious.
The fact that you are Palestinian inside Israel, does that hinder your progress in a way, do you feel?
Of course, because you need to make yourself smaller in order to survive. You need to suppress parts of you. You need to put your identity aside in order to be. And that's what I love so much about the scene, the art scene back home, is that people are reclaiming their identity. They're like, no, we are Palestinians and we are here and we are part of this and we belong here. But you're like finding yourself like completely othered, completely attacked for just being and unwanted.
Okay, well, what if I ask you about, you know, where do you stand? What would you like the world to know about Rasha Nahas?
Yeah.
In your own words.
Well, so for me, it's not about nationalism. It's not about raising a flag. Of course, I will raise every flag until the people are free, you know, but for me, it's about being, about all people having the ability and the right to be. This is where art steps in for me. I do what I do, I reflect through what I do, I heal through what I do, and I bring in my narrative, which is not often heard and very often misunderstood.
Well, are you ready to speak about music?
Absolutely. Can I curse? No, I cannot. Absolutely.
Now, Desert, this album, you recorded it in English, right? And then you followed it up with a Murat, which means sometimes in Arabic. And this is the recently released one. It was released this year. But you recorded it in Arabic. So I want to know, what's the reasoning between choosing two languages to record your music in? I mean, as a Palestinian artist, what's your relationship between both languages and how you basically express yourself through them?
It's very simple. For me, Arabic is my mother tongue, And I think English is the language in which I got to know myself in since I moved to Germany, you know, like being in my early 20s in a foreign place. Most of my like closest relationships were in English. And it just kind of, I don't know, it's like a language in which I kind of set myself free in a way. Yeah. But then I think the coming back to Murat, after like coming back to Arabic and singing in Arabic, was for me of like taking this freedom and freeing the language in a way, you know? You know, there is the language and then there is us, and I think that we define the language. You know,
us as people? Us,
us as like a culture, as a people. I think, you know, language was not created from nowhere, you know? And while making the album, I was not really consciously making these decisions. I just say Murat. I don't know where it comes from. It's not exactly Haifa, it's not exactly Tarshiha, it's somewhere in between. And I was like playing it to my mom, and my mom is like, Murat? I was like, yeah, Murat. Marrat. Like, yeah, Murat.
Which means sometimes.
Yeah, which means أحيانا, like sometimes, yeah. I don't know, yeah, like, or using sometimes English words in the Arabic sentences, like in Amrat's track, like Amrat distortion dafi. You know, it's like, we mix English and Arabic. I mean, both languages are part of me. I like, we're speaking in English.
Yeah.
And when I'm traveling, when I'm touring, when I'm meeting people, I'm speaking in English.
All right, well, I actually want us to listen to the title track, Murat. So we're just going to play a little bit. We're going to listen to it, and then we're going to come back to talk about it. So let me just play this one.
أمرت باحن لبلادي أمرت بشتاق لحالي أمرت بشك بدربي أمرت بعرف شو بدي أمرت بخاف الغموض أمرت برتب هالحضور.
I just want to read the lyrics in English, so this was obviously in Arabic. It's not going to sound as poetic, but let me read this. So, sometimes I long for my homeland. Sometimes I miss myself. Sometimes I doubt my path. Sometimes I don't know what I want. Sometimes I fear the depth. Sometimes it's cold in this embrace. Sometimes I'm scared the past will forget me. If I weren't scared, I would pack my things and go. Now, tell me about this track, Murat. So we've seen you. It was shot in Haifa. It was, you know, we've seen abandoned Palestinian homes. You're thinking out loud in this track. What can you tell me about this? What inspired you to write it? Is it your relationship with Haifa?
It was during the pandemic, and it was around the time where I had injury, like in both my hands. I could not move my hands. I could not play guitar. So I was writing music like with the keyboards. I would like loop a sequence and just keep it looped. So the whole song is like one chord progression that is looped. And then I would start singing.
And that's because of the injury?
Yeah, so it was a time, you know, where as a guitarist from a very young age, you know, I could not move my hands. I could not play guitar. It was such a vulnerable time for me. In addition to that, it was pandemic. And it was a time of a lot of reflection, a lot of like withdrawing, like, you know, being with myself, and a lot of solitude, a lot of like thinking about space and time. And this song came out of a place like this, you know.
I'm going to play another track. This one is actually my favorite track on the whole album.
Amazing.
Yeah, it really is. It's Ya Binti, which means my girl in English. I'll tell you why I like it so much. I think in this track I could really pick up on the influences of classical Arabic music. I feel like it could be a song that could have been played in the 60s, but it's also modern enough to be a hit today. I mean, that's how I took it in.
Interesting.
Yeah, but let's play a little bit. Let's hear it out and then see what your thoughts are.
شعرك طويل
So yeah, like I said, favorite track on the album. I don't know. It hit me some way. I just connected in a way. I felt like it took me to a place.
Yeah, yeah.
It transported me.
Yeah.
But when I actually read the lyrics and try to understand what it's about, it's you talking to a younger version of yourself. Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, it's tricky, this song. I think it's like longing for being young, I guess, you know, and like speaking tenderly to an older version of who I was, you know.
Is there something that you particularly miss about a younger Rasha?
Yeah, a lot of things.
Really?
Of course, a lot of things. I think you miss things and you gain things along the way. You lose and you gain things along the way. Like, so you gain assertiveness, but you lose being spontaneous, you know. Or like you gain confidence, but you lose a certain vulnerability or innocence.
As we come to a close to this conversation, I want to hear from you. I mean, what is it that you really hope to achieve through your music? You know, what does Rasha hope to get out? What's your message to the world? Is it a message, or is it just about sharing your art?
I want a lot of things. I want people, like Palestinian women, to feel empowered. I want Arab women in general to feel empowered. I want people to find like support in what I do, or example. I just want to give a place of comfort, you know, and create music that is inspiring and healing and also representing and rocking it.
And rocking it.
Yeah.
What about your future projects? What can you share about those?
I'm working constantly on new songs, and I've been writing in Arabic and in English as well, and I'm planning a few singles this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So more new music.
A lot of new music.
Great.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Listen, Rasha, this has been a lovely experience, a lovely chat. I'm so glad we caught up, sat down.
Thank you so much.
I know there's going to be more great music coming out, and I wish you the best of luck with it. And I'm sure we're going to reconnect again, have another chat.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Rasha. And how do you feel about that?
Brilliant. We're going to have a lot of...
What's fun?
It's okay.
The whole episode will be bloopers.
I'm just not going to curse anymore.
Listen,